Hi class, this is the third video and it's the second instructional video on how to do your summer assignment. So this one is about the flashcards for the molecular structures that are important to biology. Let's go ahead and you should be logged into your Pacifica Christian account and click on the waffle icon in the upper right corner and go to Drive. So now you should be in Google Drive and you should see our shared folder for the class in the top bar. So there it is, AP Biology 2015 to 2016. Let's open that up. And I can see that some of you have already made your own personal folder in our shared folder. Good for you. I like that you got started early. Let's take a look at our flashcard assignment. And in here, we've got our instructions, so let's look at those first. You're going to make flashcards of each of the organic molecules that are listed below. So let's go below, and ta-da! There are 64 of them. Lucky you. Okay, so you are going to make these cards, and as you do, you're going to think about each of their relationships to biology. So for example, what are organic chemicals? Because pretty much all the ones you're going to see on this list are organic. And by the way, you should know how organic chemicals differ from inorganic chemicals. And both the word organic and inorganic are words that you can choose for your vocabulary wiki. How do these molecules interact to create life's processes? What are the 5 most important elements for biological life? And most of those 5 elements will appear in each of these molecules here. The most important one is carbon. Okay, you're going to need to make sure that the name of the chemical, the descriptions, and the facts about these molecules are written on the lined side of the flashcard, and the chemical structure and their name is drawn on the blank side of the card. You don't actually have to have a lined side. Like if both sides of your card are blank, that's okay. I don't know why I specified that. But you are going to be quizzed randomly on these flashcards, so you need to know all of them, or else you're going to need to be very lucky on the quiz. And this quiz is going to come up probably around the 3rd week of school, roughly. We will go over these flashcards in class. So when I give you this quiz, what's probably going to happen is I'll put up a series of structures on the screen. And, you know, let's say that I show you this structure, for example. Well, then I might ask you to, let's say, identify the functional groups. You know, what is that blue group? What is that red group? Or I might ask you to tell me, you know, is this molecule polar or is it nonpolar? Is it hydrophobic or is it hydrophilic? Would it be acidic or basic? So these are all things that you're going to want to see if you can find out that kind of information as you do your research, but we'll also go over it in class. You're going to add some information to your cards when we go over them in class. So I do want you to bring the cards to school every day for the first month. And I also want you to make sure that you don't cram a whole lot of information on the text side of your card, because you do need to leave a good amount of space so that you could add stuff in as we go over it. So once again, draw the molecular structure on one side, and on the other side, you're going to write the name of the molecule across the top. And then you're going to list significant structural components or functional groups on one side, and then list any biologically significant roles, interactions, or other facts on the right. So for example, let's say that you were making a flashcard for alanine. Well, then one thing that you should do on the left, obviously draw it. And then on the left, you should write down that it has a methyl group. Ta-da! There's the methyl group right there. And then you would want to write down that that makes this a nonpolar molecule. I mean, it's polar. Never mind, we'll talk about that in class. But this part, the methyl group, is nonpolar. On the right side, you want to say, well, why is this significant? Well, it's significant because it's an amino acid. And in particular, it happens to be a hydrophobic amino acid. That means that it's not soluble in water. This is the type of information that I'm hoping that you can find. Now, if you, for the life of you, can't figure out what its biologically significant role is, then write down what you know and leave the rest as blank space so that you can add it in class. Because what's more important to me is that you have a baseline to work from as we go through these functional groups and these molecules in class. And it's not important for you to get every single last detail on your card because, that's actually my job as your teacher. I'm going to filter for you and help you to, identify what is the most important information. Okay. I do highly recommend that you hole punch each flashcard at the corner and load them onto a keyring or a carabiner in the order that's listed on this document. And then you notice that these molecules are grouped into 5 different classes. So I would like you to have a cover card for each of those 5 classes. So it might look something like, hold on. Okay, so then it might look something like that, where you have it hole punched and you put one of those little key rings on there. And by the way, I have a bunch of key rings that I bought from Staples. So if you want to just hold it together with string or put a binder clip on it and then pick up a key ring from me once school starts, then you're definitely free to do that. A lot of times people just keep it in the binder clip, and that's fine. The one thing I would caution you against is that it's easier to get them out of order when you keep it in a binder clip. Same thing if you put it in a box, but do whatever works for you. I do suggest the key ring though, so that you don't get them out of order. Okay, so back to this window. The 64 molecules that you're making into flashcards are in these 5 classes. So let's start with the functional groups. Now, a functional group is essentially like some, structure that influences the behavior of the molecule. So, for example, you have to give me the general structure of an alkane, or an alkane is a word that just describes this type of molecule. And here are some specific alkanes. Methane is a type of alkane, so is ethane, and so is propane. Now, if you notice, the word methane looks a lot like the word methyl. And that's because a methyl is essentially when you stick a methane on some other base molecule, it now turns it into a methyl functional group instead of a standalone methane molecule. So here's another functional group, hydroxyl, which is also known as an alcohol. Like anything that has a hydroxyl group on it is an alcohol. Carboxyl, amino, aldehyde, keto, or ketone. Any molecule that has a keto group is called a ketone. An ester, an ether, a thiol, a phosphate, and this is a really important functional group. You really need to know all about phosphates because it's going to appear over and over and over and over and over in our class. So make sure for your card that you have the structure, that you know the charge on it, that you know what types of molecules have phosphates as functional groups on it. I'll give some examples maybe. We've got alkanes, alkenes, alkynes. You can just give me just a general structure for these. Methane, ethane, propane. Cycloalkane is another type of alkane, except that, or not another type, but it's an alkane that is in a circle. And then benzene is a type of cycloalkene. Then there are 18 of those flashcards that you're going to make for this group. The next class are the carbohydrates. So this is the first major class of organic compounds that we study. And, something like glyceraldehyde will contain an aldehyde functional group. So watch out for the functional groups as you go through the rest of these. Like if you see that, like for example, this is a cycloalkane, then you would want to, well, actually it's not a cycloalkane, but you would want to like write down what functional groups you see. So I'm running out of time. Let me just really quickly go through some of these other ones. For this, I want the general formula for any amino acid, but then here are some specific amino acids that you're going to put onto separate flashcards. And then here, I just want a general structure for these, and that's about it. Okay, good luck.